I talked about our distribution strategy, our sales strategy. I talked about our patent. I talked about our timelines and the team and the commercialization strategy. And I also pitched to investors, and I've assisted in raising about $2.5 million in funding. So
Right.
I don't know if that's something I want to put
Uh, the
in
quantity is not something that you want to put unless you want to work at another startup. Okay.
okay.
The
Okay.
funding quantity, but something useful over here is that you've developed strategy, right? So
Yeah.
that you've developed this strategy. Okay, so one of the bullets over here is influences and overall product strategy, right? Established
Yep.
pricing and market strategy. This includes all of that. Okay, so
Yep.
could you explain this to me? Like, were you responsible for developing all the strategies, the product strategy, the pricing strategy, market strategy, commercialization strategy, all of it? You developed that.
Yep. I developed all that.
All right,
With
so that is a major accomplishment. How did you do that? How did you ensure that this strategy is going to be effective?
so
How did
basically
Mhm.
I sat with a lot of our distributors, and these distributors have been in the game and they've been distributing products like ours for the past like 5, 6, 7 years.
Mhm.
And I've sat with them, and I've gone through prices of competitors, and I've gone through different strategies with them that other competitors use to push market into the product. Pricing strategies, add-ons, promos, and different things like that, and different territories to attack. And I stay with these distributors, and I basically run through and I shoot ideas off them. And they basically either validate my ideas and they tell me, hey, this would work. This is something we've done before. Or they tell me, no, this doesn't work. We've done this before. So we've done this before and it didn't work. So I looked a lot to the distributors that we worked with. And I've met these distributors at different trade shows and different conventions that I've gone and networked at for medical devices. And I've bounced ideas off them because overall they're going to be the guys that are going to be pushing this product out, and they're going to be
Right.
repping our device. So they want to work with me to establish the best protocol and the best strategies for commercializing the device. So I worked a lot with distributors for the most part.
See, that is another wonderful bullet. You,
Yep.
what do you call it? Created such a wonderful strategy using this method by
Hmm.
consulting stakeholders. Okay, that's nice.
Yep.
How did you ensure optimum allocation of resources?
I had project budgets where I tracked the marketing expenses, the engineering expenses, and stuff like that. So I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but I just budgeted things out.
Okay, I see. All right. Is there any place where you accomplished a very tough financial or budget goal that you met some met some milestone in the development or in the management of a product while meeting those tough, challenging financial goal or budgetary goal?
Hmm. What I will say is we had a very limited budget. So we had to use a lot of like guerrilla marketing tactics and like unorthodox ways of like gaining like doing research and like working with our marketing materials and stuff like that. So I worked with a very constrained budget and I did the best that I could with what I had. In terms of like an actual I think I'm gonna have to think about that one some more.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
All right. Is there okay? Did you define the regulatory strategy?
I did not define it myself. I worked with our regulatory affairs girl to define it.
Okay, but you like influenced it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how did you ensure this strategy is like something that would yield like quick product approval, like result in a quick product approval?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Yeah, how did you ensure that this strategy will allow you to have a quick product approval?
So basically, the 510K pathway. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's based on a predicate device. So there
Mhm.
was a device that was similar to us that was manufactured and FDA cleared about 4 or 5 years ago.
What's
So basically, what we did is we went off this predicate device and we made some substantial improvements to it, and we proved that we were substantially equivalent, if not better, than this device. So basically, with the 510K pathways, if you prove that you are the same device, if not better, then it'll streamline your product approval.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is there any point within the development that you saw that, like, like a customer that, like, some new customer need emerged with regards to your product, or some new sales need emerged with regards to your product, and you incorporated that within the product? So, is there any part during development that you saw that and incorporated that?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Um, like during the development of the product, right? This new
Yeah.
novel product, did you
Yep.
identify any new emerging customer like needs that you didn't identify before, and did you modify the product based on these new emerging needs or trends?
Yes, actually. So one of
Okay.
those new emerging needs was the ability to check the amount of CO2 that's left in the tank. So what was happening was we lent one of our prototypes off to a professional football team, which is the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. We lent it off to them, and they were using it like on a kind of a beta trial basis. And what was happening was they were running out of CO2 gas, like, and we didn't have any method for them to track it. So what we did was we took that issue with the device, or that problem that the user faced, and we implemented a weight scale onto the cart that housed the CO2 tank. So in the interface of the cart, you can see how much CO2 is left in the tank, and therefore the user will have an understanding, an idea of how much CO2 is left, whether or not they need to order another CO2 tank and get it changed out. So that was an issue that we had that we implemented.
Okay. Right.
Does that kind of work? Does that?
Yeah, it does. It does. It works perfectly. Okay. Let's see. Is there any other thing over here? Well, I suppose we talked about everything over here and just about everything over here.
So, Walid, I have another question for you. So, these two roles that I had listed on my original resume, they're not the only two roles that I have.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I put them there is because they're my most recent roles. But I've
Okay.
also held I've also held a position as a project manager for a nonprofit organization,
Okay.
where I did a lot of work for that. I've sat on like the finance committee for my student body in my university.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've worked as like a customer service representative at my university. I've
Okay.
also worked as like a tax advisor for the county of Riverside. I've done a lot of
Okay.
different things, but I don't know what to include and what not to include on my resume.
Well, anything that has to do, like most of the stuff, if there's anything that has to do with making financial plans or anything like that along those lines, or creating a strategy, like a strategy, financial strategy along those lines, so we might be able to include that, because like we might be able to translate that, or anything that shows that you have like leadership qualities or qualities with regards to public speaking or presentation or interpersonal skills or communication skills. So we might be able to translate that. So
Gotcha. Okay. So
yeah.
I think we should definitely include my project management experience.
Mhm.
And I'll send you in an email what I did with that. And I've quantified that a lot. Like almost every other bullet is quantified because that actually yielded actual results. So I was
Okay.
actually
Right.
given like a letter of recommendation. I was given a letter of recommendation for leadership from the chancellor at UCR after doing this event, which I was project manager for. Um, so so I think that could help me in terms of leadership and interpersonal skills. And then potentially, if there's space, we could also put my role at the serving on the finance committee at the Associated Students of University of California, Riverside. So I could send you what I've done for those two, and you could tweak them if you want to, but I think they should be good. I've quantified them pretty well. Um, but yeah, okay.
All right. And I suppose we discussed everything that we could think of regarding your current job, right? The
Yeah.
product manager at Cool Blast. Okay, if you have any other like